really grinds
So
my
now we're going to
gears.
discuss how Christmas affects us in the real world, not just the flaws behind the history to do with the Roman Empire that still sort of runs power today in terms of the royal families and of course the Roman Catholic Church. But Christmas is amazing to me. It amazes me that people still care, that people still buy into it, that people still spend more money than ever in that 1 month of January than they do the rest of the year. It amazes me, generation after generation, that it never changes. Maybe it will with Gen Z. Maybe Gen Z will be the generation where we go, nah, maybe. We seem to be a little bit that way. The Gen Z. You know, not caring so much about traditional crap like this. And more caring about, I don't know, things that are genuinely beneficial to us. We're in the gym, you know. Gen Z, we're in the gym. We don't care about Christmas. Christmas is when you get fat, like Gen X. You know, Christmas is celebrated in this country, in England, by a bunch of atheists. You know, this country's an atheist country, and yet they're all celebrating Christmas, even though Christmas has nothing to do with Jesus. All these fat Gen X's, you know, Gen X are like, you know, the 45 to 60-year-olds right now. They're a bunch of clowns. No offence if you are a Gen Xer watching this, but you probably know best that a lot of your generation are a bunch of idiots, you know? Gen X are the ones who have raised Gen Z, right? They've been the neglectful, lazy, avoidant parents that have raised Gen Z. And you guys have been accepting Christmas this whole time, you know? And I'm angry about it, you know? I'm furious. Gen X are so gullible, you know. They're the people that voted in Labour. Gen X are the people that bought the official story of like 9/11. Gen X are the ones who strapped the masks on during COVID as grown adults and told us all we're all gonna die. Gen X, you guys are like idiots, you know. You guys believe anything that's written in a newspaper. You don't question it at all. You don't question anything. You got no survival skills. Nothing. You guys are just like... You guys had it well easy. You had it well easy. Your house prices were cheap, you know. You guys had it too easy and you became atheists. The house prices were cheap. The jobs were paying well. And now you're all divorced and on Tinder, you know? That's Gen X. And then during Christmas, you all just drink and get fat. And then the millennials kind of all just hate you as well. You know, the millennials are like the ones who were sort of left out by Gen X, you know? Yeah. What a shocker. But the effects of health on Christmas, the whole thing of drinking alcohol and things, and all this. I'm not having a drink tomorrow. It's Christmas tomorrow after recording this. I'm not interested. I'm going to have my decaf. Decaf coffee, you see. This is how it's done. It's like you're atheists. Gen X, right, so the baby boomers were quite religious, right? But then Gen X came in with the atheism. And then the millennials ran with it. And that's why we're all atheists in this country now. Yet you're still celebrating Christmas. You know. It's like you're not religious, but this religious holiday is convenient to you. And you're going to spend all your money and just follow like sheep, you know. You guys are sheep. And people who follow Christmas are sheep. It's like I buy the Christmas cards. I'm not buying anybody presents. And when I've got kids one day, I'll be telling them Christmas is not a real holiday. It's a consumerist society, atheist holiday, where it's buy the latest crap that is probably bad for you. Get your kids a load of video games and then they'll just get addicted to them and that. Don't get me wrong, video games are actually useful, but you shouldn't be playing video games all day, This is the level we're on. So this is another Happy Christmas video. Happy Christmas, everybody. It's just a consumerist, atheist, fake Christ, nothing to do with Jesus holiday, as explained in part 1. It's got nothing to do with Jesus. Jesus would shun Christmas. But let's investigate Gen X, because I blame Gen X for all of this. They're the ones carrying all this crap on. They're the ones spending all the money on their kids right now in shops, And the millennials. But the millennials are idiots, we know this. The millennials are like Gen X's bitches. They're like Gen X's little bitches that they backhand around. Yeah. The millennials are down bad as well. But it's the Gen X are the core problem. The millennials just ran with what Gen X set up. So this is just where we're at. And this is the Christmas special. So don't forget. We can celebrate Christmas knowing that it's just an enormous distraction. It's actually kind of evil. It's kind of creepy, Christmas. The whole thing of Santa Claus is like, he knows when you're sleeping. He knows. Santa Claus, Satan Claus, knows when you're awake. He actually knows if you've been bad or good. He's very judgmental. So be good, for goodness sake. Some creepy stuff they're telling kids, They're telling children these things. Gen X. It's what they were telling us. Gen Z when we were kids. That's why we're all mortified. So, yeah. Now let's see if there's any positives about Christmas. Now, let's talk about how people come together with their families. That's a good thing, coming together with our families. But you know what they call coming together with their families in the rest of the world outside the West? They call that every frickin' day. We treat it in the West, in England, in Gen X England. They're like, seeing your family and having some dinner with them is some big frickin' celebration. Whereas in the rest of the world, that's like normal, healthy behaviour. And people in this country, they come together and they can't even get on. We all hate each other, And this is because of Gen X. They're all egos. They're egotisticals. They're the generation ego should be their name. It's awful. But the thing about Christmas is, yes, families come together. But what do they really do? Drink alcohol together. That's not a bad idea. There's no meaningful conversations going on at Christmas. Just people sitting there watching crap movies, listening to the annoying music. The annoying Christmas music that if you like it, come on, I get it. You've just been brainwashed to like it. It's just repeat conditioning. It's psychology. It's conditioning. You've been conditioned to like that song. You've heard it so many times. It's nostalgia. But really, that music's not anything that has a message about life, There's one or two good Christmas songs, there is, but most of them are dog shit. And annoying. Very annoying. You're in a shop and you're just yeah, no. People don't go to church on Christmas. People don't even go to church in England. We're apparently a Christian nation, but no one even goes to church. I mean, I do go to church. Not regularly, because I don't really like it. But I do go to church when I can. I don't agree with the church because, again, we're going back to part 1. I don't agree with the Old Testament being part of Christianity, but that's a whole different story. But my point is, people should go to church for community reasons. Just check into church. You don't have to go every week. Just go maybe once a month. Just to check in, you know? Just to see people. Just to see who's in your community, you know? Just to talk, to join in. Doesn't have to be anything too deep. But nobody's doing it. Gen X. Gen X are the generation that stopped going to church. The 45 to 60-year-olds. It's you. You set these trends. Gen X, you set these trends that has led to our downfall. All the woke stuff. All the overly politically correct stuff. Gen X, you did this. All the divorces, all the abortions, all of this. Gen X, you set these trends. All the believing what the BBC says. Gen X. And the Gen X will probably blame the silent generation, which is 2 above them. You got Gen X, the baby boomers, and then you got the silent generation. You know, the silent generation came after the war. You cannot blame the silent generation. They're some of the best people in the country. No. The boomers were okay. The boomers were a little bit naive, but they're still a bit more traditional in their values. Gen X, you were the ones that ruined everything. You took everything too far. You took, progressiveness, progressive politics too far. You're the ones that got all these kids being taught weird things in school. You're the reason that there's mental health crises. You're the reason we have a shortage of doctors. None of you wanted to become them. You guys managed to get free education in university as well, a lot of you. Not all of you, but a lot of you. We didn't. We get debt. You got free education in universities. Not all of you, because I think it came in halfway through Gen X when they started charging for it. You guys dropped the ball. You guys are still celebrating Christmas. You guys still believe all the stories from the news. And nothing's going to change until Gen X are retired, which won't be long. We've just got another 10, 15 years of pain of Gen X being in there. And then the millennials, we've got to wait for them to get to their mid-40s and 50s. They're depressing. The millennials are depressing, you know. Everyone I've met who's like a mid-30s right now type of age, it's always just a bit down, you know. They're not bad people. They just don't know what to do with themselves. I would say we need to just blame Gen X. We need to look at the trauma that came from Gen X. The shit that they put on us. The greedy bastards that they are as well. Yes. The decline of our culture. Gen X. Like Prince Harry. Gen X. Just think of anybody that's like, you don't like, that's like a celebrity. I bet they're Gen X. I bet if you look at their age, they're Gen X. A lot of them. Sure, some of them are millennials. But I mean like legendary wankers. They're Gen X. A lot of them. The really cringe ones, like, yeah. A lot of them are Gen X. Have a look. So this is my Christmas message. It's Gen X are the problem. It's just an opportunity for me to harp on about that. And, Gen Z, we need to stay in the gym. We need to stay in the gym. That's what we need to do. The millennials didn't go to the gym. They're all trying to catch up now, but it's too late. The millennials, the only guys who went to the gym, that millennials, they all just took the juice. You know, we're natural. The Gen Z, we're not taking the juice. We're natural. Alright? We need the Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha probably will never see gyms. They probably won't be able to afford it by the time they're old enough. But we are Gen Z. The reason we're Gen Z, why? Why Z? It's because it's literally the last letter in the alphabet. Gen Z are the last generation before the technological takeover. Gen Alpha were born in 2012. The technological takeover had already been settled. Gen Z, are the final generation that existed before the total takeover of technology. That's why we're important. We're in that middle ground between the tyranny that's to come, the technological tyranny to come, and the old times, you see. We're in that middle ground. And we've got serious work to do. And we've got to stop Gen Alpha from being a bunch of beaters. And we've got to get over this mental health crisis going on. But that mental health crisis, that's because of Gen X and it's because of the millennials. Yeah, Gen Z have a lot of mental health problems, yeah. But it all came down from the atheists, the egomaniac generation of Gen X. That's who parented Gen Z. They were neglectful. And the millennials were maybe like older cousins that were fucked up. Or older brothers and sisters that were effed up. But Gen Z, we can absorb all this and we can learn, alright? And that's why I don't like Christmas. It feels out of date. It feels like a past, like a has-been, like a horrible ex, like a horrible holiday that's nothing to do with us. We need to just bin it off. And we're just making all these corporations so much money. All it is just making money for money makers. We ain't got time for that shit. We need to cancel Christmas like Cromwell. Cromwell knew what he was doing. We cancel Christmas because it wasn't anything to do with Jesus anyway. It's a Roman god ritual. The god of Saturn, as said in part 1. We're not going down that again. Go watch part 1, you lazy pricks. If you're even watching this, I don't even care if anybody ever watches any of this. I don't care if nobody hears this episode. I feel better for saying the reality about Gen X and about Christmas. And I hope you have a good Christmas. And if you're around your family, just remember, it's not that big of a deal. You should be seeing your family all the time, you know? You should be building bridges and helping your families out all the time. Don't give yourself a on the back for going to see your mum, you know? Just know that you should be seeing each other all the time. I know it's not the way we are in this current time. People just video call each other. A phone call counts as seeing somebody. Yeah, in a way. In a way, you're connecting to them, but come on. We're all a bunch of avoidant retards. Unable to spend time with each other. Even I'm like this. I just know I'm conscious of it. I try. You know, I go see my family and things, and I try to get conversations going, you know. It's not easy because they're Gen X, for instance. Gen X are a little bit like, ooh. Gen X are like surface level only, boys. If it's not a load of bullshit, then we're not interested. Gen X want to hear the bullshit. They want to hear that 9/11 was like legit. They want to hear that there's nothing fishy going on in the world. You know? Name a conspiracy theory. The Gen X go, oh yeah, no, it's just a conspiracy theory. That's Gen X that say these things. Bunch of clowns. They just trust the government. They're just in the government's basement, you know? They're in the government's basement, Gen X. So look into them. They're a problem. They've destroyed this society. They're the ones who are okay with all the immigrants just flying in. Gen X are cool with it, you know? These freaking fools, man. So anyway, have a good Christmas and a Happy New Year.